Alright, hey everyone, this is Ash. Welcome back to the King's Speech. So we've got a lot of content to get through to today, so we're going to get through a couple of read-throughs as well as the Shonen Jump chapters that have dropped. So Spy Family and Goku Rakugai are still not back yet. Spy Family is still on hiatus for another 2 weeks. Goku Rakugai currently doesn't have a release date, which is kind of a disappointment, but I'll still wait for the new chapter. So hopefully we'll get some news of that soon. With that said, like I mentioned, we're getting through a lot of content today. So if you haven't already, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Like I mentioned, it really does mean a lot to me, especially at this time of year, which tends to kind of be the toughest on me. So if you'd like to show me your support, that would really be greatly appreciated. But without further ado, let's dive into it with Akane-Banashi Story 98, Art in Nin. With story by Yuki Suenaga, art by Takamasa Moe. Translation by Stephen Paul, lettering by Snaron. We see Akane's, all of her friends pursuing their various passions, with Jumbo doing, I think it was in judo, was he the sport he was in? And then the blonde one doing hairstyling and design. And the black-haired pigtail one, I do not remember their names, I'll have to look it up. I think this is supposed to do art design or something, because she's got a little laptop or something in front of her. But you have, we pick up where we left off last time with Chocho saying, it's about taking the foundation of your art and seeing how much nin you can stack on top. It's like, this is where it really starts, little lady. And of course you have Rakugo supervision by Keiki Hayashiya. So we have a continuation of the story with, oh, so on the count of 3 you can turn into anything you want? And the Tanuki's just nodding. It's like, then turn into a die, with the correct numbers on it and everything. 1 is on the opposite side of 6, and 2 is opposite of gu. And Akane's like, gu is another way of saying go, which is 5, my favorite number. It's like, look, you know the plum flower crest on the temple to the god Tenjin in the mountains? It's the same pattern, that's why I like it. It's like, anyway, let's see you transform. 1, 2, 3, and she does a little clap. He's like, oh, I was like, you're pretty good at this after all. I was mimicking, holding up a little die. It's like, now let's give you a roll. It's like, huh? What's that? You're getting so dizzy that you might puke? You see the dice just going little tanuki faces about to look like it's puke. It's like, what do you mean? You're a die. What kind of die doesn't roll? You just see her making up this scrunchy ass face going but don't go getting all weepy on me. And you see Reporter Bro's taken aback by this going, she's making faces? If Akane Arakawa is known for anything, it's for orthodox performances. And Jav, you did it back then. You were using normal words but performing them like Rakugo. It's like, yeah, I guess I did do that. It's like, that all-nighter was rough. And you see her thinking back to, back then, it was before Dad's promotion test, when I still copied what he did every day. And she's imitating, what are you talking about, you bump on a log? He's like, it kind of sounds like Dad, but not quite. It's like, oh, I know. It's like, what are you talking about, you bump on a log? It's like, yeah, that's more like it. You think so too, Gonzo? That's great. It's just like a little tanuki doll. It's like, what now? Should I teach this to Dad? It's like, no, I'll keep this a secret. It's like, she's like, It's like, I would do it this way if it were me. It's like, not to mention, you came here in the first place because you wanted to repay the debt you owe me. Which means I make the rules here. Stay in line and know your place. Who do you think you are? Some Futatsume with a pompadour? She thinks back to when I was telling her that. It's like, stay in line and know your place. And he's like, punk. It's like, she's even throwing in inside jokes. He's like, I don't just want to be any old Rakugoka. I want to be an Arakawa Shinichi. All I thought about was how to meet the bar for promotion in the shortest time frame possible. When it comes to Rakugo, you're dead serious, huh? Excuse me. And she's like, that's right. I'm where I am now because I've taken it seriously. But that's not all of who I am. From Shu, learning fundamentals, to Ha, breaking from tradition. Sometimes you need to be bolder. To be more free. He's like, here we go. I'm gonna roll ya. And she thinks back to when she's a little kid just practicing, imitating that. He's like, no, Edo dialect? That's like saying no Rakugo. It's like, it's true, Zenza is the time for learning the fundamentals. Doing your own arrangements is forbidden. But she's been refining her art for over 7 years, courtesy of none other than Shuguma Arakawa. That foundation should be rock solid by now. Forget about focusing on the fundamentals. Take those building blocks you've got and play how you want. The nin that we can glimpse there will enthrall your audience, and that act of play will accentuate your art. Again, I love all the panels of this spreads with like the old like Edo art style, like design stuff behind it. As he's here imitating the guy just like throwing the tanuki dice. Ah, it's so good. And you have Rakugo's about the combination of art and nin. And she thinks back to Chocho saying, you're not even using half of your ability yet. And as he's watching, he's like, you finally begun to tap into your potential. So we should be coming upon the turning point. The question is, will you be able to grasp it? Will you come to learn the other effect of nin? Ah, man. Alright, so I guess quick thoughts on the chapter again. Yeah, I don't know. It's still... So I really did like this chapter. I feel like it's still playing a little bit coy or nebulous with what exactly Akane was supposed to have learned from Chocho and like what exactly like the difference and stuff in her performance is. And this, more so than anything else, I think might be just an issue of not being able to read the series in one lump go and kind of like waiting week to week, or even in my case like every 2 weeks to read the chapters. So this might be a chapter and an arc that kind of does gain more merit from going back and like rereading the series all in one go and kind of absorbing it all in once rather than kind of like in bits and pieces. But yeah, because I think I mentioned this in a couple of the past videos where it's kind of like, you know, what is he talking about? Like, what does Akane have to do to kind of like make it her own? She's going to be using like slang, dialect, whatever. And I was kind of like half on the mark with that, where she's kind of doing like, you know, kind of the Kansai thing, like, what are you talking about? You know, kind of like the country bumpkin, kind of like southern kind of drawl style. Like, what are you talking about? You bump on a log, things like that. So it seems like that's at least partly the answer for like what she's doing to kind of like improve her Rakugo and her performance and everything else like that. But yeah, I think I need to go reread some of this stuff before I kind of give a more definitive answer on how I feel about this arc in this chapter. Apart from that, I did like the little flashbacks, like, you know, her being like, you know, I've been practicing and doing this for a long time now, you know, I've been building up the foundations of who I am. So I like the emphasis on that. I also do, again, art style has always been phenomenal, knocking it out of the park. So no complaints there. But I'm hoping we get like a more solid conclusion, understanding like what exactly was meant by all of Chocho's lessons and things in the upcoming chapter, when we kind of finally realize like what's gonna win Taizen over. Because I'm curious about that, because it feels like, especially with Akane being like, oh, you know, this is how my dad would have done it, it feels like that's gotta be kind of what swings Taizen over to her side. It's kind of like Akane showing like, yeah, you know, might have, you know, apprenticed under my dad, or I might be like, trying to take on his teachings. But I'm using his, you know, his kind of Rakugo as a basis for mine. I'm building up from there. So I'm wondering if that's going to be the end of his, of being like, you know, I want to see the potential of where you can take your father's Rakugo. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to where the next chapter is going to go from here. So with all that said, like I mentioned at the beginning, a lot of content is going to be coming your way this weekend. So if you haven't already, please do like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Like I mentioned, it really does mean a lot to me. Like I've also mentioned a couple of other videos, there's going to be a strike for Palestine this week. Check out my Twitter for details. But please do continue to speak up and support them with what's going on right now. And until next time, this is Ash. I'll talk to you all later.